Okay, well, here we are, Married to Real Estate. We're still getting used to that new name, Married to Real Estate.
I like the married part. Well, I like both parts.
Of course, we've been doing it for 17 years now, longer than we've been married. So, yes.
Yes, okay. It's one of those husband quick math things.
I just saw the eyes rolled to the back of the head.
Did I pass the test?
Barely.
Okay, this is the
Barely.
married part of the podcast.
Yes.
So let's get to the real estate.
All right. Well, often, especially this time of year, I'd say, as we enter into late fall into winter, people are asking, I missed the boat. When is the right time to sell my house? So, Joe, when is the right time to sell a house?
That's a great question, Lisa.
Well, thanks.
Well, you're welcome. I would say the question we probably get most often is, when is a good time to sell, or when is the best time to sell, and is it a good time to buy, or is it a good time to sell, right?
Right.
And a lot of our conversations with our clients start off with that. And as you said, this time of year heading into the holidays, holiday functions, just seeing people out and about. End of the year, going into next year, people are starting to think about listing their house or buying a house. So the questions come in a little more often.
They do. And what would you say what do you think that people think the best time is to sell? Like what month?
So that's a great lead in. So, and that's in a balanced, perfect market. And if you go back through the history of real estate, and we listen to our parents and their parents and everybody else, you want to wait for those flowers to start blooming in April, and the grass is green and the house looks the best it does the whole year around. And that's the best time to list a house. That's what we've been told for many years, right? Do you agree with that?
That's what we've been told. Yes.
Right.
I agree.
Oh.
It's all about the flowers.
Yes. Yeah. So, which gets to, so seasonally, what we've always told everybody is that the spring market in our area starts end of January. And
Correct.
People look at us a little cross-eyed when we say that, because that's not what they've heard, right?
Right.
And that's not when my house looks the best. The flowers haven't bloomed yet. There could be snow on the ground. But what happens is over the holidays, towards the end of the year, the buyers start planning their buying process before the sellers start planning their selling process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sellers have this mindset that I don't want to go on. I'm not supposed to go on the market in January or February, right?
Right.
But the buyers come out and say, well, it's the new year. It's the year I'm supposed to buy my house, right?
I'm ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll, right? So they come out hot and heavy, the buyers, and the ratio, and that's what it's all about, supply and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the ratio of buyers to sellers coming out of January is always going to be in the seller's favor because there's more buyers than there are sellers.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what we've always told people, and let's say it's a balanced market, right? There's as many sellers as there are buyers in a balanced market. We would tell people really coming outside of a 2-foot snowstorm, we keep an eye on the weather. Let's say we plan January 24th is your list date, but we see, we're watching the Weather Channel on January 20th. We know there's 2 feet of snow. Well, we can always push it back a week, right?
Right.
So we always work around the weather. But outside of a huge snowstorm, if you can come on the market and what's going on in your life allows you to do that, that's going to be the best time to do it. But throughout the year, we usually have 2 slower periods, right? So around July 4th week, people just are on vacation. They really stop thinking about real estate.
It is the middle of the dog days of summer.
It is. So that, and then really the 2 weeks around the Christmas holiday, before and a little bit after.
Right. And New Year's.
And New Year's, right? It slows down then. But all markets are different. So in a balanced market, sometimes if things aren't selling as quick as they do, sometimes we may list a house in, say, September or October, and it may not sell,
Right.
because the market isn't that hot and heavy. So
Once upon a time,
right? So,
houses took longer than 30 days to sell.
So we may advise the seller to say, okay, why don't we come off the market, the 3rd week of November if we don't sell before Thanksgiving, and then come back on that middle January time frame. 99 times out of 100, that's always been a successful, formula for us.
Right.
Because that balance kind of equals out, and then that you have the more buyers in January than you did in the fall.
Right, right. And that kind of flows right into the seasonality part.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So it is very seasonal to the market and when people should do things.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that we actually get another really good bump in August, September, October. There's always, and what we have found, like you said, with the ratio is that there are just, as a seller, there are so many more buyers out there in January, February timeframe that you're not in a lot of competition. So if you do wait for the flowers to bloom and the grass to get greener and more lush, well, 4 of your neighbors also may be on the market, and so you're just roll the dice.
Correct, and kind of what we're getting to here is the market, the way it's been the last 6-7 years has been very seller dominated, right? And it's been, the supply and demand has been in the favor of the sellers. So the answer to that kind of the question is there really hasn't been a bad time to list your home because there's always been so many more buyers than there are sellers. But if you think about it with what you were just saying, with your neighbors coming on the market. So let's say you come on in January and there's 3 buyers to your one house, right? And you got 3 contracts coming in on your house in January, early February. But you move to the middle of April, well, they're still in your favor as a seller, but it's 1 contract coming in to your home, right?
Right.
So how do you think you're going to do better as a seller if you have 3-4 people bidding on your home, or if you have 1 person bidding on your home, right?
Right. And it's, again, like you said, it's very much, you need to look at specific neighborhoods and specific timing. All real estate is hyper local, even in, a 1 county or wherever you are, Maryland, Delaware, that it is very hyper local to what's going on locally.
Hyper local and also hyper changing. Right?
Yes.
So this year was we had the interest rates go from 3% to 7% in a 6-month period, which changed the dynamics dramatically. However, as we've seen, sitting here in middle of December, if we're listing it, we're selling it, and so the buyers are still out there, and they're still buying, right? So that supply and demand, that ratio hasn't gone away.
Right. And one final thing we can say to wrap up, people buy and sell in every market. There might be less in number in the dead of winter, but they're usually higher quality. They're not out there messing around. They need to buy. And so there really never is a bad time to sell.
That's in the market we're in now, that is seller dominated. That is the theme. There is not going to be a bad time for you to put your house on the market.
Right.
I agree with that.
But please reach out to us, and we are happy to talk with you about your individual needs and best advise you on moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's do it. Let's go to work.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Savas.